I'm Cass.
I'm Rachel.
And you're listening to the Appliance Girls.
But I think I'm really excited to, get women on the podcast.
I mean, we love men too.
If you had a superpower, any
superpower. Not this one.
Any superpower, what would it be?
If you don't believe in what you're selling or you don't believe in the business, you're not going to be able to sell it.
So you're talking about something else.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Cassandra. Good morning again.
I know. I think it's our last time.
I know. We did
recording here.
We did say last week. Last week could have been the last time,
yep.
But we're almost there with our new podcast studio at our office.
Yep. All of our furniture's arrived, so we're going to be putting that together today, I hope.
We will be. So that's going to be exciting. So
very
I don't know if I'm looking forward to all the flat packs that we have had delivered. It's kind of giving me a bit of anxiety looking at that.
I feel as though that's why we have men that work with us to do that for us, and we just do the fun stuff
No, girl power, we can do it.
Yeah, no. Hey, I did put together my daughter's kitchen the other day that I got her for her first birthday, all with a broken finger. Well, not broken, but sliced.
What did you do?
I sliced my finger off with a mandolin cutting cabbage.
Oh, it's making me feel sick thinking about that.
Yeah, it was a fresh mandolin. So the blade was literally, I just peeled the plastic off.
Yeah.
So it was very fresh, but I still managed to put her birthday kitchen together.
Yeah. Well,
that was a Kmart flat pack.
Oh, a flat pack. Nice. I like that. Well, it's exciting that your daughter turned 1 this week.
I know. It's a bit surreal. I feel like I was looking pictures of her when she was born and I started to get a bit emotional.
Oh, a bit clucky.
I know. Ready for the next one.
Saying, hey, Diane, you ready now? Is
I
that
know.
what it is?
And Aaliyah's birthday's coming up.
Yeah, a couple of weeks' time. She'll be 1 as well. So
crazy.
Big milestones happening at the moment for us.
If anyone's baby is turning 1, I really feel you. Like the nostalgia that you get and the emotions, it really hits you all at once.
Yeah, it does feel like they were born just yesterday and that year just flies by.
It really
did. Time is going too fast at the moment, I think.
They
it needs
say
to
that
slow
time
down.
gets faster when you get older, so
it does.
It's a sign for us,
It
Rachel.
really does. A sign that we're getting very old, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was my highlight of the week, cutting my finger off.
Yep.
What about you, Rach? How's your week?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. Always busy with the kids and work and everything. But I think
we had a good week at work.
We did have a good week at work. We had an event this week. What did we do this week?
We did the cocktail. No, we did coffee.
And
I've got a cocktail in hand. That's why I'm thinking of cocktails.
Yeah.
Now we did a coffee cart and we did the gelato and cannoli at Allen Property Group.
Yep.
Which is one of our commercial clients. So that was good. And everyone was so welcoming there. That was really nice.
Yeah, it was actually. Their office is amazing. And I think we love going into these events and actually checking out everyone's offices. And
we really get inspiration from
we did.
Their offices to take to ours.
But they were amazing. The staff were absolutely amazing and great to talk to. And we learned a lot, actually. It was really good. So
we learned a lot about the company and it was awesome.
Yeah.
They're all really happy, their staff, and happy to be there. So it was good.
That was good.
And then we had a lovely feature in the appliance retailer.
We did. I was a bit nervous, but that's good.
So the appliance retailer is like our industry magazine, and it was very exciting. Rach and I had a feature in it, and she did a bit about the podcast.
Yeah.
And it was good.
It was good. It was something exciting and being in the news and I don't know, a bit different. I was a bit nervous for it, but that's
I know. No, we get a lot of support, so it was good. And, everyone always mentions, we saw you in the appliance retailer. It's like you're famous.
Yeah.
But we're not quite there yet.
No, it's all right. No, but it's been good. It's been a good week and another busy week, as we always say.
Yeah.
I think we're constantly having busy weeks, but that's good. I enjoy being busy.
It is keeping us busy, but we've got, I think, the next few weeks to kind of recap and refresh, and then we got some events planned for the future.
Yeah, we do. We've
got our exciting Philippines trip in August.
That's going to be exciting. We're doing a retreat with our staff over there, so I think we're very excited for that to come, and I think we're actually going to bring a podcast episode from the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting.
And I think that's what we're going to be talking about today. I think what we want to do with our Philippines team, we've always said, is we want to include them, and everything about your staff is to take care of their morale and their mental health. So I think this trip is going to be really good for the team over there, and we're really excited to meet them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so today's special guest, we have Rachel Elcardi in the studio.
Guys. I feel very honoured to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, we thought, hey, why not get to know Rach a bit more?
Oh yeah.
No, it's everything you've done in your career, I think, is so important today. And we've really done a lot in health and with students, and then crossing over to adults as well. So it's good to look into it and see how you kind of cross transferred those skills over.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Ask away.
So What we want to start with is what made you get into teaching, really.
Yeah. So obviously, if you listen to previous episodes, I used to be a teacher for, I think it was 13 years. Very passionate about teaching. I loved it. Never thought I'd leave teaching.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I always loved, I love school. I was obsessed with school when I was a kid. I was that nerd, and I think I've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
To which my kids cringe at that thought, and my husband cringes to that thought as well. But I loved school, and I loved, I used to pretend I was a teacher when I was a kid, and then it's sort of, something that I sort of thought, I'd really enjoy. Yeah. Being in front of the classroom, but then also having the opportunity to teach kids and be a role model to them, which is what I thought would be a good idea. And then obviously I was a PE teacher. Yep. So
what made you get into PE? Because I know you were always into sport. Yeah. You were athletics in your high school years, nearly made it to the Olympics, all this kind of stuff. So obviously PE was a no-brainer, really. But for you, was that always what you wanted to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love sport. I love all sport. I'm very passionate about sport, still am now. Yeah. And the thought of being able to cross the two together and being able to teach other people about sport and about health was like, okay, definitely that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Went straight into uni after school, studied health science and then a master's in teaching and went straight into teaching. So
nice.
That was sort of my journey, and desire to get into teaching was exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so. And I think when I met you, you were a teacher, and I could see a lot of the things you were doing were really all about like motivating your students and focusing on their mental health, and you were doing a lot of the affirmation cards and all that kind of stuff. And I could see all these things that you were doing that not a lot of teachers might do. Yeah. So what made you kind of focus on mental health in the educational space while you were a teacher?
Yeah. So I think, my biggest thing I found was students were in front of their teachers more of the time than they're in front of their own family.
100%.
So I found it very important that, as a teacher, I needed to be the best role model I could be for the students, because we were there in their lives more than their own family. And I thought it was really important. And you have students from all different crosses of life and from different backgrounds and different personalities. And it was always important to be able to understand each student. And for me, as teaching went on, I understood that, having that understanding of where they come from, but then understanding their own inner mental health was also really important for sure. To also benefit them as a person, but benefit them in their education as well. Because obviously as a teacher, I wanted to be there to help them improve and have an understanding of what I was teaching them.
Yeah, for sure.
And mental health and their well-being played a massive part in that. Yeah. And I noticed, if a student came to school and their mental health was way off, there was no way that they were going to be in the right frame of mind to learn. And I quickly learned that it was so important that we focused on that first before we were able to get to anything else. And I was very confident in understanding that these are skills that they needed, throughout their lifetime. It wasn't just at school. Yeah. And I wanted to instill skills in them that they were going to use across their lifetime, which I think is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
And, that's what I sort of started to get into, and I became a year advisor. So basically you're like the mum of the grade.
Of the grade, yep.
So,
teacher.
Yeah. So I remember I was the year advisor for a year 7 cohort, and you're like literally the mum, and I'd have 20 year 7s at my door, all different issues. When they first start out in high school, it's all about, friendship issues and a little bit of bullying here and there. Yeah. And then as they get older, it's sort of more of the mental health stuff comes in.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's sort of, definitely something that I was passionate about in terms of how we can help them develop these skills to let them progress through life.
And I think in this day and age, it's so hard. Mental health is such a big thing, and it's not really spoken about. Like, it's getting spoken about a lot more now, but it's still not spoken about as much. And I think kids, they really get the brunt of it a lot more. Yeah. And I think accessibility these days to social media and to the internet and to messing each other a lot easier. So different to when we were in high school. Yeah. Like, what did we have when we were in high school? We had MySpace was the only social media platform really, or MSN. Yeah. MSN.
I used to love MSN.
BRB. GTG, gotta go. And then your parents would be coming in and be entering so they wouldn't see what you were writing.
That's actually funny because Michael, so my husband and I, that's how we first started communicating, was through MSN. And we always bring it up all the time, and he'd come home from work when he was an apprentice, and he'd wait on MSN for me to log in, and then I'd come home and wait for him to log in, and it was that's how we started. So it's cute.
We were very polite on MSN. You would literally say, be right back. I'll be back. But on text message, there's no BRB.
Nah, you just ghost
Like,
people.
you just ghost. So we were very polite on MSN.
Yeah,
but
we
yeah, like comparing from when we were in school to kids now and when you were teaching.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest, I guess, challenges students face?
Look, it's so different now. The access to technology has definitely heightened the mental health issues within students, and and this is a thing that we're going to probably talk about. Is it's not only students, it's adults as well. You know, it's the accessibility to that technology so easily. So I know kids will wake up, they're constantly on their phones. They're on their phones after school, at night time. They've got access to everything at their fingertips.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think what it's also done is the fact that they think that everything's done straight away.
Yeah.
And, you know, so many times I would have a student come to me upset that they think a friend is, you know, mad at them because they didn't respond to their text message.
100%.
And I'm just like,
yeah.
My whole thing was, okay, let's just go through the process of maybe why they didn't reply. Maybe they didn't have credit.
Yeah.
Do people have credit these days?
I don't know. Because back in when
that was,
I had a phone, I had to go to the shop, recharge my credit. But plans are the thing these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe there is credit.
So there was different, you know, going through the process of why they didn't reply.
Yeah.
But then it's also, I found the biggest issue, and I know this is with adults as well, is it's affecting their sleep. So constantly students, you know, late at night, kids are on their phones, you know, I'm talking more high school students are on their phones to all hours, not actually sleeping. So then when they're up the next day, they haven't had that adequate sleep to actually function as a human.
Yeah.
And function in at school, at work.
At work, for sure.
So I think sleep and the lack of sleep based on, you know, interacting with technology has been one of the biggest differences and the biggest challenges that's causing the mental health issues. Because then obviously lack of sleep, your brain's not functioning properly, so then anxiety levels are heightened, stress levels are heightened, and then that just creates all different issues and problems. And,
for sure.
There was lots of students I used to work with, and we used to actually have to put plans in place that I was working with their parents as well, are going, okay, what can you do at home now so that they can get more sleep? And you know, it's like we had to create processes where, you know, put your phone away at a certain time and those sorts of things. And actually working with the student on that and allowing them to understand the impact it's having on them. Yeah. Not always easy because a lot of students, you know, don't want to take that on board. Of course,
yeah. But I think like you were saying, like kids are at school more than they're at home. Yeah. So it's so hard for us as parents to be able to know what's going on at school as well. So do you think that's stressing you a little bit with your kids, like for them to go into high school? Like you don't know kind of what's going on at high school. You can't be that fly on the wall. So being a teacher and going through that yourself, seeing kind of what kind of things happen at school, is that something that's kind of giving you a little bit of, oh my God?
Yeah. I mean, so my eldest son, so he starts high school next year. Yeah. And, you know, I know what high school is all about and know what it's like. And, you know, I'm comfortable in knowing that my son's able to, you know, cope with those sorts of situations. Yeah. But it was quite funny actually. Yesterday he said to me, he's like, oh, all you sixes are a part of a Snapchat group. And like, so my son doesn't have a mobile phone, and he's like, you know, I don't want to be the only loser, not part of the Snapchat group. And I sort of had to explain to him how I didn't feel comfortable with him. Like he's not having a phone at the moment and, you know, not part of social media for the different reasons. And so then he was like, okay, I sort of understand. But it's sort of now he's getting to an age where that's sort of starting to happen. Yeah. But yeah, it is. My biggest thing is we were trying to teach kids the skills. Okay, how do we deal within those situations? So resilience is the biggest thing that I focused on sort of teaching students. Yeah. Because shit happens in life. Yeah. When you're a kid, when you're an adult. And the biggest thing we need to learn is how do we deal in those situations? Because, you know, life is never going to be all roses. Yeah,
my happy roses.
Happy roses. So it was definitely, that was the number one thing that I wanted to instill in my students is, okay, how can we build our resilience to deal with these situations? Yeah. And my biggest thing was sort of putting in programs in place to teach resilience or to talk about resilience and put things in place so that if something did happen at school or at home, they could go to I used to call it like a toolbox of skills that they could use.
It's perfect.
And, you know, they were able to access that toolbox and go, okay, this happened, but this is how I'm going to process it. Yeah. And that's something that I think is so important as an adult as well. Yeah, because, you know, as an adult, you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, I don't want to become I want to become an adult so fast. And then I always say to the kids, I'm like, no. When you become an adult, you're going to wish you were still a kid.
Like, I'd love to go back to school, not because of the learning stage, but because of the social aspect of it.
So there's so many different dynamics as an adult, and you deal with so many different people and different personalities, and in your workplace, in your home life, with family even. Like even family is just a stress on its own.
For sure.
But then it's building those skills as a kid that you can use as an adult.
Future, and resilience is so important for future. Like you're not going to get hired for every role that you go for a job interview for. Yeah. Like you're not going to have a win in everything in your life. So I think building that at a younger age is so important. Because it just sets them up for the future.
But it's also understanding that failures happen, and then how do you learn that? Like I've been gone for jobs before that I was hoping to get and I didn't get, and those sorts of things, and I had to sort of obviously at the time I was upset and frustrated, but then I had to go, okay, let's look at it and go, there's obviously reasons why I didn't get the job. And then Michael would always say to my husband would always say to me, he'd say there's always a reason why you didn't get it. There's always something better happening in the future. And now when I think back to so many things that happened, and that's the only way you're going to learn. Yeah, exactly.
And I think as well, that's why I don't think I understand really the whole everyone's a winner these days in schools and stuff, because it's like, how is my child going to learn that in the real world, not everyone wins and he's or she's not going to get every role. They're not going to win every prize. They're not going to, it's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm struggling with at the moment. I don't really understand that. So it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and that's the thing, because obviously a lot of sport these days in kids sport is moving to non-competition, which
point
for
scoring.
Me, who's someone very very competitive, it like kills me that I'm like 100% the kids are keeping score in their head. They know what's happening, and we got to teach kids that there's someone that's going to win, there's someone that's going to lose, there's someone that's going to come second, third, fourth, whatever it might be. And it's learning to deal with that and instilling in you that, okay, if you didn't win, what can you do now to make yourself better, or do what you to try and get there the next time. And that's perfectly fine as well. And it's instilling those skills in our kids, in our students, and even in adults in the workplace as well.
And that's my next thing. Like you said that adults have the same challenges as students do in terms of mental health, social media, all that kind of stuff. So why do you think businesses should prioritize like mental health in their business?
I mean, I think as a business or any workplace, it's so important that you have an understanding of the place of well-being within your business and of your staff, because you want your staff to buy in, to want to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not showing, appreciation, if you're not showing that, that you have an understanding, then those staff are not going to want to be there.
Yeah,
or they're not going to do the best for your job or for your business.
Yeah.
And it's so important that you actually spend time going, okay, what can I do for my staff that is going to show them that I appreciate them, but then also show that I have an understanding of what they're going through or what's going on in their, in their life in a way. And from what when I was a teacher, I used to run events for the students, like we'd have Wellbeing days and Are You Okay Day, which was a massive festival, which I really loved putting on. And but then I also was really big on providing things for the staff, because as a teacher, we were overworked and it's a stressful job. And I really I used to go to my principal and say, we need to do things so that we're showing appreciation for our staff. So whether it be a morning tea, a breakfast, a little gift on their desk, whatever it was something to go, hey, we actually appreciate you and we have an understanding of what you're going through, and thank you for the job that you're doing. And something so simple can go so far. So many staff would be like, oh, thank you so much, like I was having a bad day, and it was just you simply leaving something on my desk that made me go, okay, like I'm doing a good job. And I think in any industry, in any workplace, in any business, that is so important.
100%.
And no matter, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend lots of money. It's just just something simple that can go so far.
Well, we saw that this week at Property Group.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, they do so much for their staff. It was incredible. I was like, wow.
Because I think they have breakfast like a few times a week, and it's something simple like that is showing appreciation.
Exactly. And it just gives them a chance to get together. And we saw it with talking to the staff that work there. They were all so happy to work there and to be there, and they didn't have one bad thing to say at all. And I think you're right. Just doing that little thing, like the staff morale is just up. Yeah,
it can just go so far. And I mean, we don't always get it right, but at the Appliance Guys, where we try, to put things on quite regularly. We have our team nights. Normally we do them twice a year. where we get everyone together. And, you know, we went to Swing City Golf
Swing
driving
City.
range the other day with
fun.
all of our staff, which was really cool. And, you know, food and drink, and it's just getting them out of the environment of work and getting to know people on a personal level, which I think is really important. And, you know, we love putting on our big Christmas parties at the end of the year.
Love it.
One, we love to party, but then it's also a chance for us to go, hey, we've put this on for you guys because we actually appreciate what you're doing for us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate what you're doing for the Appliance Guys, for the business.
Yeah.
And that's the whole premise of the Christmas party is, you know, it's for Mick and Dion to be like, no, we actually appreciate what you're doing. And, you know, I think that's so important as well, that you put that time to put things together for your staff as well. And
and I think it's as a leader, you kind of got to understand that they also have a home life that they may have struggles in, that you don't want them to have that burden on them when they're at work. So I think you're right. Just having a chat with them, just to talk with them and see how they're going, make sure everything's okay. Like, you don't have to be their counselor or anything. Like, you're not going to lie there with a book and start writing notes, but just to let them know that you're there for them. If anything ever does, you know, happen, or they need to contact you for something, just puts it out in the open. Don't be afraid to talk about it, if that's, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's a crossover I have from, because I was a head teacher of Wellbeing when I was teaching, and I would have, like, you know, certain students that would check in with me on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday before school, and it simply was like a 1-minute conversation where it was like, okay, how was your weekend? How's things going? How's everything at home? And just that simple conversation of checking in was put that student at ease, and then actually benefited them, you know, through their day and through their week.
I think though, just on that, like, I know, because I'm just thinking back to when I was at school, like, you know how you have some teachers that you're like, I would never talk to that teacher ever. But I know, I can imagine you would be like, you know, that cool teacher, like, oh, Miss Rachel, Miss Elcardi.
I wish I could
Mrs.
say I was
cool. But like, do you find that a lot of your students were comfortable to come to you and be able to like talk to you about their mental health and about what's going on and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that was my biggest thing, and that's, I think I was most passionate about as a teacher, was building that rapport with the students so that they were comfortable in coming to talk to me, because I know what it's like being a kid, you know. Sometimes you're afraid to talk to your parents about things, and a lot of times there's so much going on in their heads that they, you know, they don't feel like they know anyone to talk, or there isn't anyone there for them to talk to. So I always wanted to make sure I had a safe space that they could come to me. And, you know, when I was in my last couple of jobs or schools that I was at, I was dealing with, you know, students with really intense things, you know. I had quite a few students on suicide watch and things like that. So as a teacher, I felt like, you know, quite responsible that I needed to be there for them and those sorts of things. And we had students with eating disorders, and I wanted to be that person that they knew that they could come to me if they needed me during their day.
For sure.
And that I was that point of contact where they go, if there was anything whatsoever that they were going through, they could come to me, and then I could either whether I could help them or I could lead them to the people that it needed to be, whether that be the school counselor or whatever that might be. So I always found it important that they needed that. Students need that in their life.
Definitely.
To have someone to talk to. And then I think that's the same in a workplace as well. And that's why I think it's so important that you always check in with your staff as a business owner, but even as a colleague.
Definitely.
If there's a few people that you can just go, hey, just check in with them. How was your weekend? How's your work been? Like, and sometimes all it takes is that 1-minute conversation for that, you know, employee or your colleague to go, actually, you know what? I've had a really shit week.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it lets them let that out. And that is so important for them to just, once it's off their chest, then it feels like a bit of a relief. And then they go, okay, I can work through it. And then that's them building their resilience as well.
Exactly.
And then, you know, then they can become better at their job because they're actually allowing themselves to talk about the issues that are going on, which I think is important.
And I think some of the roles that we have in our business, customer service and customer complaints, that's really important because you don't want to be, you know, dealing with stuff at home or having a bad day and then come to work and have to deal with all these complaints and people yelling at you and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's definitely something that you brought over from teaching to the Appliance Guys.
Yeah, and I'm very big on motivation. I have a fond memory.
You are.
My coach, when I was like, I think 10 or 11, she gave me a journal and it said never give up on the front. And I've always, like, that's my favorite quote. I've carried it around with me everywhere, and I use it with my kids. And then you know, when I was starting my own business, when I quit teaching, I was creating affirmation cards and those sorts of things. So I've brought those into work as well. And I often leave them on Adam, our national sales service manager, his desk. I always pop them there for him when he's having a bad day. But I'm big on, you know, trying to motivate people and say it's okay, we can all go through shit things, but we can get through it, and let's do it together. And
I think the two of us as well, we can kind of pick up when some people are having maybe a bad time or they're not feeling great or they're having a bad day. So I think just having that person just to check in is super important.
Yeah.
And I guess with the events that you did at school, like all that Wellbeing days and all those events you put on Are You Okay Day, they're like super big these days.
Yeah.
But I guess you saw the improvement in your students when you put those on.
Yeah.
Do you see the same kind of thing in the workplace when you put on those events?
Yeah. So you see it on the face, and you also see it when on the face of the staff, but then they also, when they come up to you and go, actually, I appreciate what you've done. And that's, I really like that. And I know a few years ago we, I think it was just after COVID finished, and we decided that, we hadn't seen each other in ages and, been in lockdown, that we decided to go on a staff retreat to the Hunter Valley.
Yeah,
and
that was awesome.
We took
Loved that.
Our workers and their partners as well. And it was just a chance for us to go, you know what, COVID's been shit, but let's get together. And I think the appreciation from the staff after that was, hearing their feedback and saying thank you is what it's about. And, we wanted to do it for them to be like, we actually appreciate how crap that time was. And thank you for putting in the effort and everything that we went through.
Yeah.
And let's go and enjoy ourselves and, play some golf and have some wine and get some
facial,
massages.
Yeah. I think that was really fun though that weekend. It was so awesome. And it was actually really good to meet everyone's partners as well, because we don't get a chance to do that. And I think that's super important as well. I mean, their partners are just as much as, part of the business. They're in their life. Yeah. And I feel like it was so good to meet everyone's partners and be able to interact with them and then give them a chance to meet us as well. Yeah. Because, you work for a business and you might have a boss that people are like, oh, we've never seen them ever in our life. Like, they're ghosts. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's important for the partners to meet the staff and interact. And I think that's what Alum do as well. Yeah. Going back to Alum, we just got a lot of ideas from them.
Yeah, we did actually.
But they said they do once a year as well, like a similar kind of thing where they bring partners along, and they've got one this weekend, and it just really shows that the company cares. Yeah. It's great for the morale of your staff, and it's just important.
Yeah. And it's understanding your staff on a personal level is so important. Yeah. Because if you're just treating them as if they're just a worker, then they're not going to want to put the effort into for your business. Yeah. So you need to get on, have an understanding of them personally and, get to know them on a personal level, which I think is really important. And that's even as a work colleague.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to understand your work colleagues on a personal level as well. And because you understand so much more about what's going on and
then when they when they message you and say, hey, I'm off today because of XYZ, you understand more because you know them on a personal level, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So after teaching, I know you had a little bit of a period where you worked for another company and you were trying to start your own business then. Yeah. What kind of happened in that, what's it called, like the limbo time where you left teaching and started the Appliance Guys?
Yeah, so I left, I think I mentioned before that I left teaching to go to nothing. Sort of didn't have any ideas. And I sort of started my own business. It was called Inspire Me Project. Yep. And it was based around putting programs for the education industry, for teachers, about being inspired and being motivated. And then I sort of, created some products and things on affirmation, which is I'm passionate about. But then I also worked in a community outreach center as well, in the same area that the last school that I was at, working with similar students. And it was all about building those relationships with people in the community that needed the help as well, and providing options for them to access help, whatever that might look like. And that could have been mental health, or it could have been, food that they needed, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so exactly.
I sort of did that in the meantime because it's something that I'm really passionate about. I come from a background where both my parents worked in sort of the social justice sort of area. And so
helping people.
Helping people. So all my family are the same. So I'm very passionate about that. And so no matter what I'm doing, I sort of want to bring that across to what I'm doing. So when I left teaching, I still sort of was in that same space. But then also I felt like I needed something. I needed another challenge or something more for me to get into. And then that's sort of where things went with the Appliance Guys.
Yeah. So what made you transition, I guess? Because it's two totally different areas, health and sport, food, wellbeing, mental health, to marketing and events. What do you think was that push or that, light bulb moment that made you think, I want to do marketing and events?
I mean, marketing events was actually, when I think about it, was a lot of what I actually did when I was teaching. I was in charge of the school Facebook page. So basically it was
I'm sure that was a load of fun.
Basically, it was marketing the school. So, schools are a business. So, I was there responsible for obviously putting up all the photos on the events that we had, or the sporting things or things happening at school. But it was basically to promote the school. So, in a way, I was actually doing marketing for the school as well. And then, obviously, I was running events at school. So, similar things. So, I've always had a passion for that side as well.
Yeah.
And then I think while I was teaching, I think it was probably, 8 years ago, I really wanted to start my own business. And it's funny when I think back now because I totally forgot about it. I think I called it Cardi Media. The premise of the business was to do marketing and events and social media for businesses. And then I was teaching at the time and I sort of started it. The kids were young and then it sort of went nowhere because I
do remember that.
didn't push it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's funny. I sit down, I think back, I'm like, I'm in exactly what I was trying to do all those years ago, and now I'm doing it. So it sort of was always there and something that I wanted to do.
And we do joke sometimes that we're going to start charging people to do their marketing.
Yeah. If anyone wants us to do it. We're a bit busy at the moment.
Sorry, we're pumped. Maybe wait till we hire some assistants or something. We're not ready for that.
Yeah, we're a bit busy. But so I've always had a passion for it anyway. And it's just sort of organically sort of happened over time. And it's not like I left and went, okay, I'm doing marketing and events. And that's when I think back to jobs that I didn't get, whether it was in teaching. And then when I think back, I go, that's probably the reason why I didn't get that job because I'm meant to be where I am now.
Yeah.
And I think that's
everything happens for a reason.
And that's what I tell it. Everything does happen for a reason. Yeah. And so many times now I can go, that happened because this is where I am now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, reframing that has brought me to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Which is good. So.
And do you think you had any challenges kind of coming from that background as a teacher and then being quite independent in your teacher role and then coming to work with your husband?
Yeah, it's been
it is interesting.
No, it's funny because it is a completely different environment to be in. The thing I found the biggest challenge is I was always so passionate about teaching. I never thought I was going to leave. Yeah, never thought in my wildest dreams I was ever going to leave teaching. I was going to be that old lady PE teacher that they'd have to bring a chair out to the
to
oval,
wheel around the oval
so that I could teach a class. So that's what I always thought I was going to be. But so when I left, I thought, you know what, I'm going to miss it and it's going to be really bad. Yeah. And then as time went by, I didn't miss it.
Yeah.
So which was interesting. So then it's so different that when I was teaching, you always have to be on. Yeah. You're always in front of kids and you're always in front of the classroom. So you're sort of, if you're having a bad day, you have to put a front on. So I always used to say that a lot of times you were sort of acting.
Yeah. Hey, that's very true.
Yeah. So you're always having to put a front on if you're having a bad day because you're constantly in front of students and you can't sort of go, hey, class of 30.
See you later.
30 year 9 boys. I just got to take a step out for a second because then disaster hits and, chairs get thrown out the window. Yep. So that couldn't happen. So that's the biggest changes that I've come now into sort of like the, business world or the corporate world. Yeah. And it's actually a breath of fresh air because I feel like I can breathe and not have the stress of going, okay, I've got to get to this class and, and I'm not constantly dealing with behavior problems. Yeah. So it's a different feeling of not going, put your phone away or do this. Like I'm not having to look after behavioral issues. So it's different. And then, because I've obviously worked in the business through the years, at home anyway, it just was a good transition working with Michael anyway. It wasn't, I don't think there's ever sort of been an issue. I mean, if we're having a fight at home, you can sometimes tell because I don't want to go speak to him. And then Cass will be like, are you fighting with Michael? I'm like,
just don't talk.
But we've learned to navigate that. So,
yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of the programs you did at school and everything, you can see that you're bringing over though to marketing. And like you say that it's different to teaching, but now that I think about it, it's kind of not because you're doing trainings and all that kind of stuff. Like training a team is exactly the same as teaching students, really. And it's funny because we've talked about how you're an introvert and how you're a bit more reserved. But like you said before, when you're in front of a class, like you totally are different. And then you can see that now though, when you're in front of like a team where you're doing a training session or you're in front of a meeting presenting something, like you see your teacher come out. Especially at our like all hands meetings, we do these meetings once a year, sometimes twice a year. And the previous ones before Swing City, we've done them at the office where we've done games and stuff.
Yeah.
But you really see your voice change to teacher mode.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
I do have a teacher voice.
Yeah, like it's funny how you can see how you would have been in front of a classroom.
Yeah.
So I think, it's good. It's different, but it's good.
Yeah.
And I think working with husbands, like, we're both the same. And I know you're the same. We find it really hard to switch off, but we're working on that.
Yeah.
But your kids are a bit older than mine. So I know that you've had, and they've grown up in the business and been at the office, and they've always been around from the beginning. So, like, on a funny note, what do you think is like one of the funniest things the kids have said about you working for the Appliance Guys or your role or anything like that? Because I know they've said some funny stuff.
Actually, it's quite funny because when I quit teaching, I quit teaching. They keep going around and telling everyone that I got fired.
Oh my god!
So literally,
oh my god,
we'll go places and they'll be like, "Yeah, my mum got fired as a teacher." And they literally tell everyone. So I'm actually quite embarrassed about that because they still to this day say that. But when the Appliance Guys, they still say, "Oh, you just work, like, you just run after dad." Yeah, that's what they still say. And I'm like, so many times lately, I've been trying to show them all the different things, and cool things that we're doing. I'm like, "Oh, we did this event today," and then they're just like, "Oh, so cringe." So I'm like, "Oh, whatever."
Dad just organised that.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
I'm like, give me some credit. So, but no, they I think they're getting excited for the different things that we're doing slowly. Yeah, for sure. So as I said last week, they want to get on the podcast and those sorts of things. So
yeah, I know they'll be on soon. Don't worry, in the new studio.
Yeah, they will be. So, but it's good.
And then on the kids, I know we've both had a few funny multitasking moments. Yeah. What is the funniest multitasking moment you've had with your kids while at work?
Well, we've had one recently. We were having we weren't in the office that day, so we had to do a Google Meet or a, what do we call it?
Google Meet.
It was a Google Meet, And so I was at home with my two youngest kids, and one of them was screaming in the cot because she didn't go to sleep when the meeting was meant to start. And then my 3-year-old didn't want to play with the toys that I'd set for her. So literally all I was doing is she kept coming to my side. I was like palming her off. And she just kept trying to, and then she'd see her.
She was like, "Mom."
She'd see her face in the corner. She'd see her face in the corner of the camera, and she'd start smiling and putting her head to the side. And then all you can see is me like trying to palm her off to the side, and then keep talking in the conversation with the meeting that we were having. And yeah, it didn't go well.
No, that's good.
And then the meeting just
kept
kept going.
That video. You remember that video that went viral? I think it was during COVID, and the guy was on like a news channel.
Yeah.
And the little kid came in on his in the walker, and then the mum ran in and pulled him out. The things we do as mothers, honestly.
But I thought it was going to be a quick meeting, but then the meeting just kept going, and then she kept talking and like coming to me. So the whole time I'm just like palming her away, and she just kept saying, and then she'd go behind me and see her. Anyway. So
she's funny.
Fun times when you're multitasking.
All right, let's go back to mental health.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important. And we're talking about our kids, being mums, you're a teacher. So you've kind of been in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been in the prime position for dealing with mental health really your whole life, because you've been in the thick of it. You've been a kid yourself. You've been a teacher teaching kids and helping them through their mental health. You've been a mum, seeing what happens to your kids.
Yeah.
I know a lot of parents will want to know this, and I don't think anyone has the right answer. But when you're raising your kids, what do you think is the biggest thing you're trying to instill in them for their well-being and their mental health, and how to deal with resilience and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so definitely we've worked really hard on with our kids is building their resilience for whatever situation that they're dealing with. And I think that's the number one skill that we wanted to work with them on.
Yeah.
My daughter has, girls are crazy at school. And she has her friendship issues. And so we have worked a lot of time on going, okay, let's put things in place to work on how to deal in a situation when they don't want to play with you today, and then they want to play with you tomorrow. And then, so building those skills of resilience is the number one thing I recommend to any parent with their child is putting strategies in place, going, okay, well, if they don't want to play with you today, let's think of all the other things that you could go do that you will enjoy at lunchtime. Yeah. And then so they know that, okay, if that situation does happen, then they've got that toolbox to go use to go use those skills. Yeah. But resilience is definitely the number one thing. And it's not always easy. And, as we said, we don't all have the answers. And as a parent, we can get frustrated. And, I get frustrated when they're upset or whatever it might be. But then it's also going, okay, let's reframe the situation and go, well, why did that happen? Or, you know, what can we do next? And actually talking about it and discussing it, and not just, you know, putting it under the rug of, you know, not discussing it, which I think is really important. And I think just teaching your kids early on to be open with you, which I think is really important.
Yeah, that's super important.
To go, hey, you know what? It was a crap day today with my friends or with my teacher or with my class or with my classwork. And being able to have that open conversation about it, I think is really important.
Yeah.
So...
And like, I'm just thinking about work at the moment and how we can bring that across to our teams and anyone listening, how you can take that across to your staff or your team members or anything like that. So what can we put in place today? Let's think of this.
Yeah.
So I love the toolbox idea. I think that's really great. So I think that's something we could do in our office or something like that, where people feel like they can just get out their resilience card and go, hey, I got this. Do you know what I mean?
It's just thinking of all the different situations that could happen.
Yeah.
And then how you can reframe that.
Yeah.
And change your mindset in terms of that happening.
Yeah, because I know at work as well. I know students-wise, I feel like they'd be dealing with a lot of pressures from the outside in terms of family or social media, body image, all that kind of stuff. Body image is huge, especially in girls these days. Like we're never happy with what we've got.
Yeah.
But just thinking work-wise, like I feel like it's the same really.
Yeah.
But instead, like apart from the outside pressures, you've also got the pressures of internal work, and you've always got that kind of voice in your mind going, oh, what you just made, like that product you just came up with or that marketing tool you just did wasn't good enough, and if you don't get that response that you're kind of expecting, it can really be a downer. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you've made this whole thing and then you go present it and it's like you don't get the response that you were after. So what's something that you think you could do in that situation where you got kind of not a negative response, but you didn't get the wow, oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever seen, to kind of deal with that little bit of backlash?
I mean, you can reframe it in terms of going, okay, well, the person that responded maybe actually is good, and they're just having not a good day, but it also could be, okay, maybe what areas could I work on, or what do I actually think maybe there's some things I could change? Because a lot of times, you know, I know that sometimes I've gotten feedback from Michael or you know, the boys or someone else about things that we put together, and then
we're so upset about
we've been upset about it, but then when they've asked and go, well, would there be things you would change, and be like, and you go, okay, well, then we understand. So it's sort of being okay with assessing yourself and being okay with making changes, but then also having an understanding of maybe the person you're dealing with is going through something as well. I know so many times that we show things to the boys and they go, whatever. And I'm like, that's really good. Like,
this is amazing.
And then they're just like, whatever. But then it's also because they've got so much going on in their mind. They've got so much that they're dealing with that's not a priority from them, even though it's a priority for us. And I think that's the biggest thing, is saying we all, in a workplace, everyone has a different role, a different job. And what's important for you may not be the same thing that's important for someone else in their role. So you got to have that understanding that they might not get as excited about something that you might get excited about, or they might not be able to have the same input. So it's having that understanding that everyone has a different role within a business or a job or whatever it might be, and then understanding that their reaction sometimes isn't a reflection of actually what you've done or the work that you've put in. And
I think you're right. I think being self-aware, like about what you're doing as well, is super important. Like I feel like I'm changing a bit these days as well, because I'm kind of seeing and I'm like, gosh, why do I do that? Like, you know, and like I can be stubborn and I can be like, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. You're not changing it. But then I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I understand. But I think changing little bits the here and there will really like open your eyes as well. And you don't realize it until you see it and you're like, am I really like that? Do you know what I mean? Do you think there's anything that you've changed in your career life that you've looked at and gone, oh, I need to do this differently? Like things have definitely changed in terms of my perspective on things, and I think I'm more open-minded to different points of view on different things, and not what I think is the way is always the way sort of thing. And I'm more open-minded to the different ways of doing things. Definitely.
It's that's an interesting thing. Like I can definitely sit here now and say, I'm definitely, my mindset's different and changed, but then it's pinpointing exactly what that looks like is a bit difficult. But definitely changed in terms of more of having an understanding of the different elements that contribute to something.
Yeah, definitely.
And because I'm terrible in terms of the fact that I like to just take over and do things on my own, and I'm not very good at outsourcing or saying, hey, I need help, can you help me with this?
Delegating,
that's the word.
Yep.
And I was happy to admit that when I was teaching as well. A lot of times I would take everything on board because I wanted to do it the best that I could do it, and so I think I've learnt now that no, there's other people that can do things as well and can do them better than me, and that I need to just let it go and let other people do things as well. So I definitely have learnt that along the way, because I used to be terrible at delegating, and I used to just take everything on my shoulders.
I feel you.
So
do you think that since you left the school you were at, do you think they've continued on the whole focus on mental health and the well-being of the students? And do you think other schools are doing that these days as well? So there's some schools out there doing amazing things in that space, which is so important. And there's some of the stories that I'm hearing from other schools, it's amazing what they're doing. One of my old school, one of my other colleagues is now taken over in the wellbeing space as part of that wellbeing team. I feel quite proud that he took over my position, and I was, because he was temporary at the time, so then when I left he was able to get that permanent position, and I felt quite proud that I was able to train him in that sort of space. So I'm sort of proud to know that someone I've trained is sort of taking over in that space as well, which is good. So they're definitely still doing amazing things. Good. And I speak to them regularly, my friends that are still there, and they're doing amazing things with the students, which is good, and just dealing with the different challenges that are popping up with students, and with the different technologies and social medias. It's crazy.
It's crazy the things that are changing, and it's ever changing so quickly. And then
so
navigating that
funny,
space as well.
Like, I think about it now that we're talking about it. Like, kids these days, what age do you give a mobile phone to them? Like, everyone's like, oh, you had a phone at my age. And I'm like, yeah, but my phone was a brick, black and white. I only had one game on it, Snake, and I could only text on it. Like, these days, it's like they got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, text message, MSN, like all the above. So it's so hard. What age are you guys going to give the kids a phone?
We've had they've talked to us about it all the time. They ask us about it all the time, and we've said, obviously definitely not until high school, but then also weighing up when they need it in high school. Like if Charlie starts school and he needs to catch a bus, there may be a time when we will say you need a phone, but then we'd have restrictions in place. We're quite strong on that, and I know everyone's different in terms of what they want for their child, but I've witnessed a lot of things in the education industry with kids of what the damages can be with different social media accounts and those sorts of things. Sure. So I'll be very passionate in saying that they'll have no social media. And the phone would literally purely be for calling and those sorts of things. So, that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm strong in saying to parents, you need to put restrictions in place with your kids.
Sure. And I know the kids won't like it.
No. And that's a lot of times I worked with parents and saying, hey, like we recommend that you need to put this restriction in place and actually encourage them to do it. I had that conversation a lot of times, and I mean, it's up to each individual parent, but that's my own, point of view and what I wouldn't do with my kids.
And I think we struggle because we want to I guess, clear the line of being their friend and being their parent. And I think that's one of the biggest things that will probably be why are you doing that? I want a phone. All that kind of stuff. Oh gosh.
Kids. It's interesting. But then because my biggest thing is we're teaching them things now that they're going to take when they're an adult.
Yes.
And I always say this, the issues you're having at school with all your friends doesn't change when you're in the workplace. When you become an adult, it's still there. It's that how you deal with them maybe a little bit different because you're a bit more mature.
Definitely.
But the same issues, you're going to be in a workplace where there are people from different backgrounds, different personalities. You don't always get along. You're not going to get along with everyone. If everyone was the same, we'd be a pretty boring world.
Exactly.
It's learning how to work in that situation, and I think developing or teaching your kids those skills when they're younger is so important for when they reach the workplace.
For sure.
Because you're going to be working with people from all different
areas, spaces, everywhere, whatever. Spaces, different personalities, different, everything. So it's so hard.
So I think that's important, and
Awesome. Well, I always had this, thing about teachers, like, all my teachers, I didn't really get along with any of my teachers. So I feel like there's always that, it's a teacher, I don't want to talk to them or anything, but it kind of makes me feel at ease that now I know that there are teachers out there that are actually caring and putting in effort to their students.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it's super important for this to transfer over to the workplace, because if you're not going to be like, have this, you know, hard front or be interested in anything or have this battle with mental health, you're not going to be able to succeed in your work life either. You're always just going to have that shadow on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So it's super important, I think. And I think businesses, we're really seeing the effect on all these little things that we're doing here and there that just help the morale of your staff.
Yeah.
Because I know some industries have super high turnaround in staff, and I feel like it's because maybe they don't put that much effort into their staff's well-being and their staff's morale and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I think, what you're doing is super important, and I think we can really see the difference in what we're doing.
I think, giving back is so important.
Yeah.
So important. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be something expensive. It can just be a little thank you note, and that's you know, can go a long way. So, and do you think that's your biggest strategy that you've brought over from teaching, is just that giving back to your students and showing that you care? Yeah, so I think bringing it across that we're giving back to our staff, but giving back to our clients, and that's what we're doing with our events. We're sort of giving back to them, going, hey, thank you for supporting us. This is what we want to give back to you. So that's what is the sort of the premise of what I'm going with, that I'm bringing across from what I did in teaching. So I love it, which I think is really important, and we're enjoying that side of it.
We're loving it. I love it.
It's actually funny because I remember I said, I don't know which I was saying in one of the episodes, that I'm someone who likes routine. Yeah. And so, you know, likes the same thing every week, and that's what teaching was. And then I used to get depressed in the school holidays because I didn't have routine. But then it's funny because now I've changed, because every week for us is completely different. Definitely. Completely different. And I've sort of, it's actually helped me in a way, because now I'm learning to be out of the norm, and like, you know, we might, one week we have 3 events, the next week we have 1, the next week we don't have any, and then we've got meetings here. Everything's completely different. Yeah. And I've actually developed my skills and being okay with the change and being okay with being out of routine. So that's actually, it's been really good. Awesome. So, well, I want to touch on the Philippines quickly. Yeah. Because we are doing a trip to the Philippines, and we have a team over there. Yes, they do data entry, bookings, quotes, all of the above. Why do you think it's important for us to be going over there and showing face and doing these retreats? Because the retreat is the first retreat we've ever done over there. But why do you think it's important for us to be showing face over there? Yeah, so I think they're part of our team. Yeah. You know, and it's just that they are in a different country. Yeah. So I think it's important that, we do things with our team here, but we need to do the same thing for them over there to make them feel part of our team. And I know we've had a few of our team actually go over there and meet them as well. So we've had that as well. But I think it's also important to give back to them and saying, hey, we appreciate you. We know you're in another country, but we love everything that you're doing for us. And then it's also for us to get to know them on a personal level. I know that we do a lot of our conversations through Skype and it's through message, and so you don't actually know them on a personal level. You don't know them, and I really want to get to know them and understand them as a person. Yeah. And where they're sort of coming from, and so then that relationship and that rapport that you're building with them is so important. So then, you know, when we come back and we're working with them from here, we have a better understanding of who they are and what they do. And it was funny because even at an event with one of our real estate clients the other day, they were talking how they have a team in the Philippines, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And we mentioned we were doing this, and they were like, what? Yeah. You do that? Like, you talk to them? Like, and it was such a shock. And the way you said it was exactly that. They're part of our team. Like, why would we do anything different to them to what we do here? Because they're just as part of the team as anyone else. Exactly. And I think it was great that we told them that, because now I think they've taken that on board and gone, all right, we need to involve them in a bit more. Even having them in a meeting, like on a Skype call, like with the rest of the team, it's so important just to be involved with them and just to let them know that, hey, you are part of our team. Yeah. And we're going to be doing little goodie bags. Like, here's a uniform, so you actually feel like you work for the Appliance Guys, you know? Yeah. And take them some Vegemite from Australia. Hey, don't tell them what we're bringing. Sorry, guys, that's just a little hint. But no, it's good. And I'm excited. And I think it was cute when Chloe and Adam went over there, and they decorated the office, and they had their little cartoon characters up on the wall and balloons and streamers, and you know, it's exciting to get everyone together and to be part of a team. And I, you know, coming from a sporting background, I love team environments. I'm competitive, so it's the same sort of thing in a workplace. It's when you're part of a team and you feel part of a team, it's a different feeling, and it's so important. There's no I in team. No. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. just for the week away from home.
From kids and husbands. Girls trip.
Michael and Diane, you're looking after 6 kids.
Sorry, guys, I haven't actually told you. So no, I think it's been great. Thanks, Rach, for your insights. I think it's been really important for people to hear what we do with our team and what you've brought across from the teaching world. Yeah. Although very different industries, still transferable. Yeah. I believe everything is transferable from all industries.
Absolutely.
So I think it's been really insightful to hear all your strategies and especially the resilience. Like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, resilience is if you're listening to this, the biggest thing to take away is building your own resilience. Building resilience in your kids, in your work, in your colleagues, whatever it might be. Resilience is number one
because you're not always going to win.
No, you're not always going to win. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Rach. No. What's our question for today? I don't think we've even come up with one today.
Didn't prepare a question.
This is off the wing.
I know.
And it's your one too.
Oh, crap. Now you put me under the pump, under
I know,
pressure.
Sorry. That's I've been sipping away, relaxing. No pressure on me today. It's all on you.
Yes.
The spotlight.
Actually, we didn't introduce that we're having back to the espresso martinis today.
Yeah.
So
this is our first. It's not our second. So.
No, this is our first. So, okay, question.
I am feeling a bit tipsy though. Maybe
Are you really?
I should have eaten breakfast.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm good.
Are you going to be right to drive back to work? We've got a few functions on today.
We do actually.
Yes, we do.
We've got Andrew from Becca coming.
Thanks, Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew. Thanks for coming out.
Bringing lunch for the team.
Well, I heard you're providing lunch. I hope that's true because I haven't eaten.
Yeah, so we're expecting lunch and then we have
a strategic board meeting tonight with our managing
team dinner. I'm going to call it team dinner.
Strategic board. I like the strategic.
Oh, do you?
No. It's
team dinner
to get all our head ofs together and talk and eat.
Yeah,
and drink.
Sounds good.
Coke.
What did you say?
Drink Coke.
Drink Coke.
It's a Persian restaurant, so I don't know if they have like alcohol.
Is that your party drink? Coke. I'm going to drink Coke.
Sorry, Coke Zero. Zero. I'm on a diet.
Are you?
Speaking of body image, I'm trying to lose 10 kilos.
Oh my God. Don't even be silly.
No,
this is what we're going to work through.
I know. Talking about mental health and body image, I'm very person that I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say I need to lose a few kilos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
think you're amazing.
Thank you, Rachel.
You don't need to lose
anything. I think you're amazing.
Oh, thanks. See, affirmation. It works. Now I feel better.
We're about to go get married now. Sorry. Sorry, Michael and Dan. We're really building our connection on the next level doing this podcast because every day we're looking into each other's eyes now. And now when we move into the studio in the office, we're going to be on a couch. So it's going to be a lot more relaxed. I'll be able to see your face properly.
Yeah.
So it'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah. All right, my question. I'm just going to go with a simple one. Okay, so last week I think did we do the where you wanted to move?
Yeah, what country would you live in?
Country would you want to live in? Okay, I'm going to tell you if you had to pack your bags today.
Oh yeah.
And go on a holiday right now, where would you go?
The first thing that came into my mind was the Maldives.
Oh my God, you just
Maldives or Maldives? I don't know how you actually pronounce it. Some people say Maldives and then some people say Maldives.
Yeah.
I knew that was probably going to be one that you were thinking of because I was like, we always talk about it. So probably there. But it just sounds like such a mission to get to as well.
Yeah, it does. But then everyone I know that's been there says it's amazing. So, yeah. But I'm missing the warm weather.
So am I.
I love the warm weather.
Is just killing me. Everyone at home has been sick and I'm just like over it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for some sun, ready for some cocktails by the pool, let's go somewhere.
Yeah. See, I could live in...
where are we booking? Let's go. Let's get up and go. Let's go to the office and book a flight. Because honestly, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I need warm weather constantly.
Yeah.
I lived in Cairns when I was a teenager, so I could have the heat all year round. I don't do well in winter.
No, I don't.
I don't dress well for
put
winter.
on weight. I don't. Me neither. The clothes. I like wearing like singlets and stuff. I can't wear these big jackets and jumpers. I look like I'm like 120 kilos, and for me that's too big.
No, you don't.
Yes. All right. So for you, where would you go? Now that I've stolen the Maldives,
now they make it more difficult for me now. No. Somewhere warm. I'm going to go to Singapore.
Rachel, you can't choose Singapore. You chose to live in Singapore. You're going to go to Singapore for a holiday. There's a whole world there around.
But I want to go to Singapore and go to the W Hotel and just swim in the pool. That's really what I would do right now. That's what I'm thinking about with this espresso martini. So sounds like
you're boring. No other countries in the world that you're going to go to.
Sorry. So everyone listening, think about where you want to be. That's nice and warm. If you're if you're in Sydney in a cold environment. There may be
I know,
people
not
listening.
people in Europe right now partying in Ibiza.
Oh, actually, one of our
Nikita,
colleagues, Nikita.
Gone.
Hello, Nikita. You're listening from overseas. I think is she in Italy at the moment?
Yeah, I think she starts in Italy.
Yeah.
She flew into Rome and then she's doing Tomorrowland, Ibiza. Yeah.
So she's left us for 4
living
weeks.
it up.
Yeah.
The life of a 20-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to the days.
Living the dream. So I hope you're enjoying yourself, Nikita.
Yeah,
this is your shout out today.
Yeah, the staff have been getting angry at us. Where's our shout out? We're going to give you shouts out. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. So,
well, that was a good one.
Yeah,
Thanks, Rach.
Good. Thanks.
And let's go have lunch with Andrew
from Becco. And we're also, after that, we're going to be setting up the podcast studio.
Yes, we are.
So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that
next week
we don't fail on the flat pack put together.
No. We'll be good.
And it's all
I
put
may
together.
need a drill because this finger does not do well with a screwdriver.
It's all right. You can be the foreman directing everyone to do the work.
I'll just read the instructions.
Yeah. We'll put it together. But yeah. So thank you to...
Awesome.
Who are we thanking? Where are we?
For the last time.
Yep.
We're filming at the Bella Vista Hotel Podcast Studio.
The Hills Podcast Studio.
Hills Podcast. I'll never get that right.
We're at episode 5 and you still can't get it right, but
I'm
that's
done.
okay.
I'm finished.
You're done. So thank you guys for
Cheers.
having us and we'll see you next time.
In our office.
Bye.